because I'm about to let you know. Stick to your budget, you know your pace. Invested in the market, you know what you can make. Keep your dough safe, that's only if you serious about these money issues. Do you wanna know how to make your money grow? Do you wanna know? Do you wanna know? New age money makers, you know it's in you. Make this paper, you know who to speak to. Make your money grow. It's for the future, it's that simple.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining me. Over the past few lessons, we've been looking at tools that business owners can use to manage the finances of their business. We've looked at a cash flow forecast or budget, which shows us the expected cash inflows and outflows. Then we compared the budget to the actual figures to see how a business is actually running.
Hey mums, yep, and we discovered that my business is not really doing as well as we hoped it would.
Yes, John, fortunately, your business has not done as well as we thought it would. But by carefully comparing the budgeted figures to the actual figures, we were able to find ways that you could improve things.
For sure, and that's when we also learned why it's so important to do that, what do you call it? Financial control.
That's right. If you do not carry out proper financial controlling, then your business will never succeed. In the past lesson, we learned about the difference between cash and profit. Do you remember what it is, Joe?
Absolutely. Cash is the actual amount that you have in your pocket after you've done all your cash inflows and cash outflow. And then profit, on the other hand, is the difference between the selling price of a good and the cost price of a good.
Hey, you've really been paying attention. Now let's explore this concept in a little bit more detail. A profit or loss statement, otherwise known as an income statement, is drawn up to calculate the profit that a business is making.
Okay then, I really need to know how to work this thing out because I have a funny feeling my business is running at a loss and I don't know how to do it.
Well, that's what we'll be learning in today's lesson. The first thing we need to think about when drawing up a profit and loss statement is the sales amount. Do you know what that means?
Sales amount. Is that the amount I'm selling my vegetables for?
Exactly. The sales amount is the amount of money you sold your product for. However, you didn't get your product for free.
No, I didn't. I had to buy my veggies from the wholesaler and also I had to buy packets to repack them into.
That's right. This is called the cost of sales. The cost of sales amount will refer to all the costs you need to pay for when buying and repackaging your vegetables. You paid 10 Rand for the bags of vegetables and 1 Rand for the packets. So your cost of sales amount is 11 Rand a bag. Got that?
For sure.
Now we're going to talk about a concept called gross profit. Do you remember what this means?
Gross profit. Doesn't that just mean the difference between the selling price of goods and the cost price?
That's right. However, you must remember that gross profit is not the final profit that you will make on your sales. Out of the gross profit you make on your bags of vegetables, you're going to have to pay all your other expenses.
Yes, my expenses like advertising and my salary, that's what I need to work out first before I get my final profit.
That's exactly right. Remember that all these expenses are all the costs for things that get used up. Once we subtract these expenses from our gross profit, we are left with the final profit, which is referred to as the net profit. Also notice how the net profit and cash on hand are again different.
I know. Cash on hand and profit are two very different things.
Correct. But now let's take a closer look at your business, Joe. As we know, things did not go according to plan for Joanna's fresh fruit and veg.
Nope, it was an absolute disaster. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
We've already looked at how this affected your cash in hand at the end of every month in a previous lesson, but it will also affect your profit. Let's insert the actual figures into the profit and loss statement.
You know, mums, I'm actually quite scared that we're gonna find out that I am making a loss.
Well, let's take a closer look. We can now see how you made a profit in your first month, but in the second and third months, unfortunately, you made a loss. The cost of the goods was more than the sales.
Oh dear, you see, I had a whole bunch of unforeseen issues I had to deal with, mums.
Well, why don't you tell us about them?
It's a sad, sad, sad story. In the first month, my sales went down because I couldn't sell as many bags I'd actually predicted selling. Then, in the second month, the truck drivers went on a strike, which pushed the price of my vegetables way, way, way up. and then the price of petrol also went up, and then I had to give away some of my fruit and veggies to a charity which I couldn't sell, so that meant that I was actually paying for vegetables, but then I wasn't making any money on it. And then lastly, I had to pay for more advertising, which also didn't help at all. You see, mums, it's just a sad, sad story.
Shame, Joe. That is a sad story. Now let's take a look at the cash flow forecast and profit and loss statement and see if there are any items which are not in both documents. Can you see any differences?
For sure. Let's see, the capital and loan appear in the cash flow forecast, but they don't appear in the profit and loss statement.
Well spotted. You see, the capital you invested as well as the loan you took out appear in the cash flow forecast because they represent actual money coming in or out of the business. However, this does not affect profit, which is why they do not appear in the profit or loss statement.
Okay, now I get it. It's like the loan was never actually my money because I still have to pay it back. What about the capital I invested in the business?
Well, that's a very good question. The money you invested in the business will be paid back to you when the business closes down. Remember, in a previous lesson, we said that you put money into a business like you would into a bank. And just like you earn interest on an investment with the bank, you should make some kind of a return on the money you invest in your business.
Oh yes, I do remember. So what return did I make on my investment, mums?
Like you already said, it's a sad story. Unfortunately, after 3 months, you did not make any profit. In fact, you made a loss. If you'd simply put your money into the bank, you'd actually have earned a higher return after 3 months.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
But let's take another look at the difference between the cash flow forecast and the profit and loss statement. If you look carefully, you can see that there is a difference between the cash on hand each month and the profit or loss for each month.
You see, I didn't even realize that I was making a loss because I always had cash in my pocket at the end of every month.
Well, do you now understand the importance of understanding the difference between profit and cash in hand?
It's extremely important to know the difference because otherwise you can go on with your business not realizing that you're making a loss because you've got cash in hand at the end of every month.
Exactly. Now let's talk about another issue we've dealt with in the past few lessons, which is your VAT payments. We discussed how VAT is a form of tax that the government collects from businesses. But it's not the only form of tax. Businesses also pay tax on the profit that they make. However, this all depends on the form of ownership of the business.
Oh yes, but hang on a sec, mums. I'm a sole proprietor, so doesn't that mean I don't pay any business tax?
Yes and no. Because you're a sole proprietor, you pay personal tax on the money you make through your business. If your business were a company or a CC, then you would pay a percentage of your profits as tax.
So basically, I'm still paying tax then?
That's right, Joe. Provided they earn enough, everybody has to pay tax. It doesn't matter what kind of business ownership you have chosen, you are always going to be paying tax. For that reason, it's extremely important to keep accurate records of all your transactions so that you can work out your profits and pay the right tax.
But hang on a second, mums. I didn't make any profit.
Well, if you didn't make any profits, you don't pay any taxes. However, you will still need accurate records to prove you didn't earn any profits to the South African Revenue Services.
Okay, so there is an advantage of not making a profit, then I don't get to pay tax.
That's right. Always look on the bright side. Now you need to look at both the profit and loss statement and the cash flow forecast to decide what you need to do with your business in the future.
Sure, well, I've got some tough decisions ahead of me. But you know, I can always say thanks to you and to our viewers for all the good advice.
That's right. Some listeners called to say, hang in there, it's early days and you can still turn things around. Remember that many businesses only start making a profit after a year or more. Other things that you can do include buy only enough fruit and veggies for yourselves. In that way, you won't need to get rid of any surplus. The truck driver strike won't last forever, so prices should come down. You could also think of charging less and selling more. Have a look at your advertising strategy and think of new ways to inform your market of your product. So chin up, keep going with business. We are all sure that you're going to make a huge success of this business.
Oh, thanks so much, Mampo. You've given me the knowledge, the skill, and the confidence to run my small business into something successful.
Hey, Mampo, I just want to thank you for the lessons we've had. They've been awesome. I've learned so much, eh? My photographic business is going so well. My extra lessons I'm having with the learners, awesome. And you've been helping some of my friends start their own businesses, and they are on their way to success, definitely. Thank you so much, Mampo. Ciao.
Yeah, hey Manza, it's only a pleasure. And to all of you out there, remember that no one ever said that starting a business is easy. But with proper planning and management, you too can turn your idea into a successful business.